Hey guys, so today I'm going to be filming a recommendation video, and this is like most bingeable romance book series, and I got this idea from Naima Reed, so I'm going to link her video down below. But this is such a great idea, and I'm really excited to make this video. I actually have a ton of series that I cannot wait to share with you, so let's just get into this video. So the first series that I want to share with you is the This Man series by Jodi Ellen Mabuz. So this is kind of, I think, definitely a controversial book series, or just like book, because the hero is very like possessive of the heroine, but I really enjoyed it. He's very like alpha male, and I really liked it. But anyways, this book is about our heroine Ava, and she is taking on a new like architectural job with this guy, and he owns this like manor place, and they kind of like have this insane chemistry, and she doesn't really want to get with him because, you know, she's working for him. And but they end up getting together anyways, and it's a trilogy, and it's really, really good. I really love this book series, and a lot of stuff happens. It's very like fun drama, and I really enjoyed it. And then the next book series that I'm going to share is I don't know. Okay, yes, I do know what the series is called. It's called the Rosemary Beach series by Abby Glines. I really enjoyed this book. I read it, this book series, I kind of like binge read it a couple months ago, and it was so good. So the first book is Fallen Too Far by Abby Glines, and it's so good. They're short and delicious books. So our main character, she's had a really hard life. Her mom just passed away from cancer, and so she is having a hard time coping with that, and so she decides to go live with her father in like Florida. And so when she gets there, her father has a stepson, and he's really mean to her, and he really doesn't like her, but then they kind of spark up a romance, and it's very hate to love, bad boy. And the hero's father is actually like this big, he's a part of like a band, he's a musician, and I really enjoyed this book series. It's really fun, it's like drama filled, and I really enjoyed it. But some people don't like Abby Glines, and I totally understand that. The first book I read from Abby Glines was like Pretty Little Things, and I did not like it at all. But this book series I really loved, and I think you would enjoy it too, if you kind of like bad boy romances. And so the next book series, I had to include in this video. I know people are going to come for me. Everybody's already talking about it so much, but this is the Off-Campus series by Elle Kennedy. Gosh, I just got like a dust thing in my nice little thing. Okay, so this book series, the first book is The Deal by Elle Kennedy, and I read this series a couple years ago, and I really enjoyed it. So the first book, it's a companion novel series, and it's a group of guys who all live on campus at this college, and they're all into hockey, and they all play on the hockey team. And so the first book is about Hannah, and she is kind of having a hard time. She likes this one guy, but she's really having a hard time with intimacy because something happened when she was younger, and she was sexually assaulted, and so that played a really big role in this book. And I really felt for Hannah in this book, and I felt so bad for her and just what she had to struggle with. But she kind of makes this deal with this guy. She'll help him with, I think it's like a science class maybe, and he'll help her like with dating skills, but then they end up falling in love in the process, and it's so good, and I love it so much. And then the next book in the series is about Grace and John Logan, and here, let me try to play this. So The Mistake, so they kind of have like a little bit of a history, And when she's a freshman, they kind of have like a romance, but then something happens and she goes abroad for a summer. And then she comes back and she's kind of like a different person because she thought that he did something which like kind of happened. And I really like this one. I didn't love it as much as The Deal and the other books in the series, but I still found it really, really good, and just kind of what the hero had to go through and like making his decisions for his life, because he kind of has a really bad home life and his father's, I think, like a drunk, and he doesn't really know if he should pursue this relationship with Grace because he feels like his family's kind of a burden on him. And then the next book is my favorite in this whole series, and that's The Score. And this is about Dean and Allie, and so they kind of, she breaks up with her longtime boyfriend, and then she has like a romance with Dean, and he's kind of this like, not like dumb jock, but he's very vain in himself, but not in like a negative way. It's like funny way, and he's kind of just like this hotshot guy that like he gets all the girls, and he and Allie get together, and it's so good. I love Dean so much. He's freaking hilarious. He's so funny, and I just love Dean and Allie so much. And then I haven't actually read this book, The Goal, by Elle Kennedy, and I really want to, but I'm kind of worried because I've heard not that great of things and doesn't have my favorite trope in it. So the main character, Sabrina, she has like a one-night stand with this guy named Tucker, and then she ends up getting pregnant, and so they kind of have to figure that out, and I guess they fall in love in the process. But I don't really like pregnancy tropes books. I think they're like annoying, and just how, well, we have to be together now because we're now having a kid kind of thing, which I get, but like also, I don't know, it annoys me. But I really love this series. The other way. And I think you will too. It's a fun new adult series. Kind of running out of places to put these books, but the next series is by it's called the World series. It's by Aaron Watt, which is Elle Kennedy, and I think it's like Jen Frederick. I don't know. I think her first name is definitely Jen. So, but anyways, the first book. This book series is so good. I binged it, I remember, in like a week. I read the first 3 books. And so the first book is following our heroine Ella, and she's had a really hard life. Her mom passed away, and then she's never really known her father. And so she gets a call and that her father, her real father, passed away in a plane crash six months ago, and his best friend is now her guardian, and so she has to go live with him and his sons. And so she's kind of brought into this world of like rich, wealthy people and just like mean girls and people that don't want to see her succeed. But she's like a really like tough, like bad ass bitch, and I loved her so much. She was a great heroine, and she kind of falls in love with the second oldest son. His name is Reed, and he really doesn't like her. It's definitely a bully romance, but I really enjoyed it. I wouldn't say it's like dark romance. It's more maybe, I guess, like suspenseful towards like the last book of the series, but it's really, really good. I love it so much. And then the next couple of books is All the King's Men duet. And this book is this duet is so bingeable. I love these 2 books so much, and the characters I just love so much. So the first book is called The Kingmaker, and our heroine, she is Native American, and so she kind of is an activist for a lot of things going on with like Native Americans, and she's very upfront about her heritage, and I really like that. And she was actually at a protest for a pipeline in Arizona, and somebody was going to, this like big oil company was going to drill on Native American lands, and so she goes there to stop it, and the hero is there too, and he kind of is there too, and he sees her, and they both kind of get arrested at this like activism thing, and he kind of has a secret identity. He's not like, well, he's kind of is lying to her, but it's for a good reason, and he's a lot older than her, and they kind of see each other through parts of their life. They see each other again when she's like in her 20s, and that's when really their romance starts. But then something happens and they don't see each other for another couple of years, and there's a lot of like life and death situations in this duet series. He like goes to Antarctica and he almost like dies there, and then something happens where she is like kidnapped towards the end of the book. Something happens where she is in a lot of danger, and so it's so good, and there's like really good conversations in these books, and I just love them so much. Kennedy Ryan does this so well. I love how her books can just span years, like the love of the characters for each other spans for years, and I just love this duet so much. So I highly recommend these two books. And so the this next series is the Bound by Duty series. I don't know what the official series is called, but I have the first 4 books in this series, and it's a mafia series, and the first book is Bound by Duty. It's about Arya, and she has been promised to the capo of I think it's New York, and her dad is like the capo of Chicago, and so she's been promised to him for a really long time, and she's really scared of him because she's heard of a lot of like bad things that he's kind of done, and she doesn't know how to act around him, but he's like really sweet to her in a way that I really appreciated in the book. And there's just a lot of like mafia like traditions that happen that are just gross, like on their wedding night they have to present the sheets to show that he took her virginity, and he does something that's really like I found really sweet, but I really liked it. This book is definitely more focused on their romance than like action. There is a little bit of action towards the end of the book, but I really liked it. It's short and dark and good, and the rest of the books in the series are really good. I would definitely read them in order, even though they're companion novels, because you wouldn't understand things that would have happened if you didn't read the series in order. But I have to say, I think the 4th book is my favorite, with Romero and Lily. We've kind of seen them like pine after each other for years through the books we see them, and it's so good, and he's like her bodyguard, and she can't really be with him, but I really love their romance. And then the next book series I freaking love so much. Like seriously guys, if you come away from this video, you need to go read the series, and the series is by Jessica Hawkins. It's the Something in the Way series. I'm just gonna give a disclaimer right now. This series is very emotional. I cried so many times through this book series because there's just so much longing and pining from both of the characters, and it's just so freaking good. And so I'll just tell you about what the first book is about. So the first book, Something in the Way, our main character, it actually starts in the past first, and then throughout the books we go to the present. So this is in like the 1990s, and she is 16, and she sees the hero working at a construction site next door to her house, and she is kind of instantly infatuated with him and interested in him, and he's a lot older than her. And then she kind of sees him first, and then her sister sees him, and she kind of like sinks her claws into him, and he kind of didn't really want to be with her sister, but he couldn't be with Lake, so he was with her sister Tiffany, and it's just so sad and emotional and like angsty because they really can't be together because he gets so entwined with her sister, and it gets like, you just kind of want to throw this book across the room. I mean, this whole series, just like chuck it out the window book by book. But honestly, it's so freaking good, and I loved the pining and the longing that Lake had for him and he had for her. It was not one-sided at all. He just kind of never really showed his emotion towards her because he didn't want to give her hope of them ever being together, because he kind of knew that it wasn't possible in that time. But I highly, highly, highly recommend this book series. It's a love triangle. It's emotional. It's amazing. So the next books are another Mafia series. I've already mentioned this on my channel, but I wanted to include them anyways because I flew through these 3 books so fast. And this is the Monster in His Eyes series by J.M. Darhauer. And the first book, it's the same couple throughout all of the books. And it's Mafia, and so the main character, our heroine, she kind of meets the hero at her college campus, and she's instantly kind of like, ooh, he's good looking, he's a good looking chicken. And he kind of has his own agenda towards her, and she doesn't know. And there's lots of like secrets and twists that come out in this book that I really liked, and their just romance was so good. And they start this like tumultuous affair, and it's amazing. But things happen towards the book that she finds out about him and he finds about her, and I really like this series. A lot of the action happens towards the end, but I love these books so much, so definitely go give them a try. And then the next series is another book series from Jessica Hawkins. Ooh. And this is the Violent Delight series. I love this book series so much. And the first book is, it follows the same couple, and the first book is Violent Delights. And in this book, we follow, oopsies. Hold on, that's not the first book. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. We follow our main character, Natalie. I think it might be Natalia, but so her mother passed away when she was younger, and one of their like family friends, bodyguard person, this is like the Mexican cartel, and so he supposedly killed her mother, and then he fled. And then his younger brother, Diego, starts to get close to Natalia, and they kind of have a relationship. And so then it flash forwards to the present, and the guy who killed her mother, Cristiano, he comes back into the picture, and he's kind of wanting to be back in her world, and he's really infatuated with her and kind of wants her for himself. And it's so good. It's another like love triangle, but also like things turn around in the second book that really changes her view on Diego. And I just love Cristiano so much. He's like, oh my, he's so swoony, and just the things that come out about him in like the second and third book are amazing. And you really see his character in the second and third book. In the first book, we kind of just see this like bad guy who's coming back into the picture, and we don't really know a lot about him. But I love this trilogy. It's so good, and I hope Jessica Hawkins will write more books like this, and perhaps maybe a dark romance if she's watching this. Jessica girl, you need to write some more books like this, because this was fantastic. And then I think this is the last series. Hold on, I have to grab it. So this is the second to last series, and this is the King series by Tim Fraser. And the first book, of course, is King, and I really like this series. It's a companion novel series, and all of them at least get like 2 books. In the first one, it's a motorcycle romance series. I don't want to explain all of the individual books, but I actually started with Bear Story first, which is Lawless, and then Soulless. And I think it's okay to start wherever you want. I started with Bear's story, but I also really enjoy King's story, so if you want to read King's story, I think you should. I really liked it. But it's a motorcycle romance series. There are trigger warnings for sexual assault, torture, death. There's a lot of things that go on in this series, but it's fantastic. There are so many twists and turns that happen that I absolutely love, and I definitely highly recommend this series. I mean, I started with Bear's story first, and I did feel a tiny bit of lost in the beginning, just with like characters and figuring out who people were, because they're a group of friends, like the guys are, and they've been through life together since they were young. And but I think if you wanted to, you could definitely start with Bear's story. That's what I did, and I still really enjoy the series. I wasn't like completely lost. It wasn't like, oh my gosh, I have no idea what's happening. But the series is so good for a good like motorcycle club series. And then the last series is the Black Dagger Brotherhood series by Jared Ward. This is a vampire romance book series of like sexy vampire men, and it's really good. I think it's definitely bingeable. I've read like the first 5 books already, and it's like an 18 book series, and I really like them. The first book follows our main character, and she doesn't kind of know that she is half vampire, and so this like guy is kind of like stalking her, and he's like a vampire, but she doesn't know. And it's not like creepily, but it's really good. I love this whole series so much. Butch is my favorite book. I love him so much, and his book was amazing. The chemistry between him and Marissa was chef's kiss, so good. But that is the end of this video. I really hope you enjoyed this book binge rec video. It was so much fun to make, and I hope you have a great rest of your day wherever you are, morning, night, afternoon, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.